morning, everybody. I was working on my devotion here, reading through, and I just wanted to share something that stood out to me. In the book of Numbers, chapter 9, starting at 15, it says this: On the day the tabernacle, the tent of the covenant law, was set up, the cloud covered it. From evening till morning, the cloud above the tabernacle looked like fire. That is how it continued to be. The cloud covered it, and at night it looked like fire. Whenever the cloud lifted from above the tent, the Israelites set out. Wherever the cloud settled, the Israelites encamped. At the Lord's command, the Israelites set out, and at his command they encamped. As long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they remained in camp. When the cloud remained over the tabernacle a long time, the Israelites obeyed the Lord's order and did not set out. Sometimes the cloud was over the tabernacle only a few days. At the Lord's command, they would encamp, and then at his command, they would set out. Sometimes the cloud stayed only from evening till morning, and when it lifted in the morning, they set out. Whether by day or by night, whenever the cloud lifted, they set out. Whether the cloud stayed over the tabernacle for 2 days, or a month, or a year, the Israelites would remain in camp and not set out. But when it lifted, they would set out. At the Lord's command, they encamped, and at the Lord's command, they set out. They obeyed the Lord's order in accordance with his command through Moses. So I guess the reason that stood out to me is because, like, you think about it, like, that was back in the Old Testament days where God would use the cloud to basically speak to the Israelites and show the Israelites it was time to rest. It was not time to continue moving and going on. And they obeyed that whenever they had the signal that God was telling them to stop and rest and chill out and rejuvenate, that is exactly what they did. So it stood out to me because sometimes, like, certain things happening in my life right now, I'm wondering, like, has God been giving me these same type of signs and I have been ignoring it? Like, I have not been listening, and that's why things get more difficult, because he told me to rest and I'm not. So it just stood out to me, and I wanted to share that. That's not a particular part of the scripture that, if you grew up in a church, that you hear about a lot. So it was interesting, and I just thought I would share it. Like, think about your life right now. Could it be that God is telling you to rest? Those things that are stressing you out, those things that are bringing anxiety, those things that are causing you not to get sleep at night, are those signs that God is giving you to tell you, hey, I need you to stop? And are we, and myself included, obedient enough to rest when he tells us to, even though we may not feel like we're tired or exhausted at the time? I'm a coach, and I know when I tell my students, hey, you need to rest, you need to chill out, they're always bucking and fighting against me and stuff like that. Like, no, I'm good. But I make them sit down anyway to rehydrate, to, watch the game, and to, rest for a little bit. And so it's just funny to me that, in the book of Numbers, chapter 9, starting at verse 15, that's what God is doing to us. So I understand now why people say this is a playbook. This is the way life should be. And as I'm just freshly waking up this morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning, I think I'm coming to realize there are areas where God for a while has been telling me to rest, and I have not been listening. So I pray that this helps somebody. I pray that it was understanding, and I pray that you have a good day. See you later.